All right, everyone, welcome to our session on Facebook Live and on podcast. And this is the Sales Edge and Business Chat Room. Okay, we're going to be sharing a very interesting tip on follow up. Okay, and a lot of sales professionals say, "Oh, you know what? I follow up," and then when I talk to them, they say they only follow up one time, two times, or three times, and then they stop. Right? Okay, so we're gonna be talking about follow up, and one of my philosophies on follow up is follow up, follow up, follow up until they buy or they die. And I learned this many years ago. So if you're feeling like, I don't want to follow up on this prospect too hard because it's going to seem like I'm desperate or I'm going to lose the deal if I follow up too hard. Let me tell you that you will lose 9 deals out of 10 as a result of not following up enough, uh, as opposed to when you follow up like a maniac, right? And you may lose 1 deal out of 10. All right, that makes sense, doesn't it? Now you want your prospects and your clients complimenting you and saying things like, "Wow, you know what? You're incredible. I wish my sales team follow up just like you." Okay, you just never ever stop following up. You keep, keeping in touch with them, and it's not something that I want to leave to chance on closing the deal. Like, maybe they say, "Oh yeah, I'll buy it," and then they come back to you. Now, the other thing that we need to do is when somebody says, I need to shop around, I need to get, quotations, you need to pretend, you need to tell yourself that, and you need to tell them that you are the only player, and just forget that they even told you that they're shopping around, and you still follow up, and you follow up. You're the only one that really matters. So when you call them, you don't ask them, how to go with other agencies or other companies or other options. You just pretend and tell yourself like you're the only one out there following them, following up with them to get this deal done. Because that just means that you're so confident in what you're going to do. It doesn't even matter at all. All right. Yeah, you can shop around somewhere, but you're gonna need me in the end. They say, yeah, I need to shop around. Hey, I totally understand. I completely understand you need to shop around. And then you still, after one day, after 2 days, you still call them back. You don't even mention how did it go with the shopping around? None of that stuff, right? And when you get the proposal, you get my proposal. I'm still waiting to get the other guy to call in. The price was the same. Who would you go with? Why don't you just lock this down and in your mind and pretend that like they're not even in the game. These other companies, your competition, unless they're specifically bringing them up, and then let them ask questions about that. About that. You just want to basically follow up with them like a crazy man, right? And or a crazy woman, but just don't be crazy. All right. Just the way that I've always approached is when I get the opportunity, once I pitch the person, you will never, ever get that prospect as motivated as the end of that first session. It's just regressing and it's moving backwards and it's getting colder and colder. And the more time that you put in the sales cycle, the lower your chances are of ever converting that prospect into a customer, right? So I follow up incredibly hard. I cover them up in a blanket in the first 2 weeks. There's so many things that I will do to that or for that person initially. We're giving, the impression, the directive that I and you are in control. Like whatever they say to you, you just need to be following up, and you need to be imagining that every time somebody tells you that the deal is still alive, or I need to speak with my I need to speak with my business partner, or my husband or my wife, and they all say that, right? What do you think they're going to say? All right. So maybe they say, "Oh, we might have a slight challenge with the contract," and that's good. Then you just start to handle that objection. Okay. So you want to handle the objections with the prospect and give them the information that they'll need. And the more times you talk to them, the more opportunity there is for them to bring up their objections, bring up their concerns. So you need to handle it, all right? Because if you just leave it to them, it's never going to get done. And we know that 60 to 70% of the people, before they go to a go status, whether it's a $5 decision or a $500,000 decision, people don't want to make decisions, right? They're scared of making decisions. So that's where the follow up game begins. And that is the number one thing I cannot stress. I cannot stress this enough. And it also needs to be strategic. You're not just calling up and saying, following up with you, I'm going to follow up with you, I'm following up with you. It needs to be strategic. It cannot be whatever you feel like, or whatever you think that you want to say for that prospect. It's like, I do it every single time, because if you look at me, for instance, okay, what happens at the top of the funnel? I get people saying, sometimes, hey, you know what, you're emailing a bit too much or calling too much, and then I'll back off. Okay, whatever they say. um, you see, more often than not, the result of following up like a maniac, right? Following up like a maniac, what does that result in? The result is in us winning, and that's what it's all about. So some people will say, "Hey, you know what? You're coming on a bit too strong," and what I'll say to that is, "You know what? I apologize. I'm coming on too strong. It's just that I'm super." Confident that this is the right product or the right service for you, and it's my job to make sure that you have it, because I've had people tell me that, and I push them and I follow up with them to make the decision, because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. All right. And if you think about it, in a normal sales environment, this is what happens. You make the pitch, you send the proposal, and then the average salesperson calls them back the next day, and they ask this question. Oh, hey, did you get the proposal? And then they say, yeah, yeah, I did. And then the normal question is, so what do you think? And then you hear, oh yeah, I still haven't had a look at it. I need to think about it, right? Then you get hit with an objection, and then what happens next is, okay, when should I call you back? And then they say, give me 1 week, give me 2 weeks, and then in 1 or 2 weeks, we call the guy back. Didn't take your phone call. Maybe they say too busy, and they still say, "Oh, haven't looked at it yet." And then what happens? The average salesperson, they stop calling. That's literally what happens, right? Nine times out of 10, that's what happens. So these prospects are trained. They're literally trained that if they ignore you, you will disappear, right? So that's why I say, keep in contact with your prospect 3, 4, 5 times, and then maybe start to have fun with it. You can even say something like, you know what, I'm not going to stop giving you a call, because it's something that is, this is obviously important to you. So you know what do we need to do? Because once you say yes, then I'll stop calling you. Now I'm joking on that, right? Okay, so they know that, hey, this guy's not going away. This guy is a beast, and he's not going to leave me alone until I make him a priority and make his product or service a priority. And once that happens, they start listening to you, and sometimes they start laughing. They joke with me and say, "Man, you know what? I cannot tell you how many times I've heard this. It's like I can't believe how consistent you are in your follow up. I wish I wish my company, the sales team, was as consistent as you are. All right." And then sometimes I'll say something like, am I pressuring you? I don't want to seem like I'm pressuring you. And most often what I hear back is, no, you know what? That's a good thing. And I want you to keep calling me and reminding me. And so when that happens, they start to build admiration for you. Okay. Now, here's something very important. Whenever you get in touch with them, you must have something fresh to say. Now, you're the only player that matters. And when that happens, there's nobody else out there. They're trained by every single company that they're with, and everywhere, right? If you ignore a salesperson one time, two times, or three times, they just disappear. And think about this: how much easier is it to to make somebody disappear rather than telling them that you're not going to go ahead with the deal? And that's why they're taking the easy way out. And what do people do? They go to the path of least resistance. And the path of least resistance is to ignore you until you tell them that you're somebody that is impossible to ignore, because you're never going to stop following up. Now, I've gotten deals where I followed up for for 1 week, or 1 month, or 6 months, 3 months, 9 months, 1 year, even 4 years, and they stay in my pipeline until we close the deal. Now, why would you ever give up on that prospect who needs what you have? If they agreed to a conversation with you and they agreed to a next step, they agreed to getting a proposal, just because they're not picking up your call or answering your message, because sometimes, we have it too. Life gets in the way. We mean to return a call, or we mean to return a text or a WhatsApp, but sometimes we forget. All right. And you've called them 3 or 4 times, and you think, oh, you know what, maybe they're not interested. Now, they're still interested. They have other responsibilities as well. You just have to keep yourself, and you got to stay in those deals. Because when nobody's following up with that prospect for a month or 2 months or 3 months, you know don't even talk about a year. All right. I want that opportunity to be able to close the deal. All right. And I will follow up until they tell me, don't ever call again, or you know what, let's proceed. Okay. Because everybody that you talk to, the chances are they'll start with no. They will start with no, or they'll say no time, not interested, think about it. And they say, yeah, you know what, this is something that we're going to look at, and we're trying to get this sorted. So I'll go through the pitch or the presentation. When I get them to the end, I'll send them the proposal. Um, and then after that, if we don't follow up, they just ignore us, right? And if they haven't told the truth, this is something. If they haven't told the truth that this isn't something that they're looking to get handled right now, I want the chance to handle that objection. Either at the end of the first call, or at the start of my first follow up call, because I'm never going to get them as motivated, on my product or service, as that first chance ever again. But what I'm trying to do is get that person to a situation where I'm finding the honest truth. And when someone tells you they need to think about it, what they're really saying is there's an objection in their head that they're not telling you, right? And they're thinking to themselves, there's something on my mind, but I don't really know you well enough or trust you well enough yet to tell you this objection right now, because in almost every situation, they already know whether they're going to go ahead or not with you. So whether you do it at the start of the call or you do it at the end of a call, it doesn't change a lot, because still, where the majority of the deals are going to be are going to be done is on the follow up, and you're in the biggest position of power before you send the prospect the proposal. That's the peak of your power in that time. As soon as you send out a proposal, the dynamic changes. They think, okay, they've given me what I need to make a decision now, and I'll just do what I like. I'll do what I please. I got this proposal. I'll just put it on the side of my desk, and I'll think about it. And when I want to make a decision, I'll give them a call. Okay. But all the things, all the objections that we've talked about, you need to use all of these. You need to have all of these things ready to roll, and asking people at all levels when you expect it, and when it happens. Okay, so um, when you say, okay, this is an objection, I'm just gonna break out here, and I'm just gonna go through the process. And so, all of these take sales skills, selling skills, presentation skills, rapport skills, right? And the follow up is just one part of your whole selling process, but most of your deals are going to be made, won, or lost in the follow up. So I want to encourage you, do not stop following up, all right? The important thing is that you do it consistently and have something new, or have new information. Make it lighthearted every time you do a follow up. Okay, and in your follow up, you can follow up by email, you can follow by phone, you can follow by WhatsApp. You gotta reach out and touch the prospect. Keep yourself at the top of mind, so that when it comes time to make the decision, you're right there. Okay? So I want to thank you for listening in, and these tips that I share every week, and just watch out for those. And thank you for watching us on the Sales Edge and Business Chat Room, Facebook Live, and on podcast. And I wish the best for everyone. Appreciate each and every single one of you, and stay safe, and blessings for all of us. Thank you.